Hello Forkies, this is day 18 of me playing chess every day until I reach the rapid rating of 2500. So here we go. We are going to play a 15 plus 10 rapid game. So here we go. Yesterday I had the white pieces, I believe. And today once again, okay, e4. Playing against slightly lower rated opponent and we get the French defense. This is the first French defense of this journey to 2500, and I like to play knight to d2 or the rush variation. This is the closed, and now knight d7, bishop d3 and c5 is all playable. Now c3, consolidating the center. Knight c6 is the best move, knight e2 defending the pawn. Knight f3 is playable, but then queen b6, yes, and now this is the idea, knight to f3. If this knight from g1 would go to f3, then this knight, or what am I even talking about? Okay, nevertheless, bishop b4 check. Now bishop d2, very good move, and he simply castles. I remember having this in my file, but I'm not quite sure what is the move here. I guess I can castle. I always have bishop takes on h7 some ideas. When this knight will be here, then the Greek gift can work. And I like this kind of position, so simply castling is good enough. Followed by f6. And if I remember correctly, you always take. Although we have enough time, let me think. Taking and then queen takes. Or even knight takes, attacking the bishop. I don't like this, so simply castling and pawn to f6. No pawn to f6, but bishop takes on d2. How shall we recapture? With the queen, logically. And now f6. Okay, so after takes, probably knight takes, and I'm fighting against the e5 push. This is my idea. So taking is required, most definitely. And now I need to prevent the idea of pushing e5. How should we do that? I know the idea is usually to play knight to c3, and when e5 is played, then the pawn on d5 is very weak. But I am slightly concerned about knight to b4. So maybe just pawn to a3 firstly. Pawn a3, maybe rook e8. And then he's simply threatening to push the pawn. After knight c3, e5, takes, knight takes. Rook takes. I don't like this, so maybe knight c3 firstly, and after knight to b4. After knight to b4, we'll do something. Maybe we can start with rook to e1. Rook e1, rook e8, and then maybe knight to c3 or a3 can be tried. Just knight c3, right? This can't be wrong. If knight b4, maybe I can just play rook e1 and after takes. Of course I'm fighting against this light square bishop from c8 that is kinda blocked here. Maybe h3 will be played, and I like my position. Knight b4 I think is a waste of time actually, because my knights are okay placed, and then if here and here I take with the queen and my knight gets this outpost, maybe f4, and I have this Pillsbury knight as it's called. So knight to b4, rook e1, takes, and knight to e5. Yes, I like this, followed by f4, king h1, maybe even g3, fighting against this backwards pawn on e6 and against this, of course, French bishop, which is usually bad on c8. So maybe bishop d7 can be played, just developing and connecting the rooks. But I believe knight to b4 is a very tempting move at the moment for my opponent, but I don't think it does anything. Okay, a6. I don't understand the idea of this move. So maybe just rook e1. This is my plan. Pressure my opponent's e6 pawn. And yes, this is very positional line, the closed Tarrasch French defense. And this e6 pawn, you can see that my opponent has these two weaknesses on e5, on e6, excuse me, and potentially on d5. So yes, maybe my opponent's idea is to push b5 and then get this knight here, but I always have b3 when knight lands on a5. So I mean, my bishop here is very powerful at the time. When this knight moves, I have some ideas maybe to even sack the bishop, but not right away because my queen cannot go to h5 and the knight is still on f6 logically. So yes, I think my position is very nice. This is probably still like not theory because a6 and knight to c3 is probably not theory anymore, but I think it's been played on the highest level few times. And of course, as you can see, the pawn on d4 cannot be captured. Of course, I hope you know this. What is wrong with my arrows? The pawn on d4 can't be captured because after knight takes d4, knight takes d4 and queen takes, I have bishop takes on h7 check, winning the queen here. So this is not possible. Maybe e5 in some positions can be positional pawn sacrifice, but not right away because I control e5 square way too many times. Okay, queen to c7, logical idea, logical move, definitely. The idea is to play knight to c4, so a3 I don't believe is good move, stopping knight to b4, because after a3, knight a5, b5 and here. Maybe rook c1, maybe rook c1 is an idea in this position, maybe h3, but putting the knight here already is probably bad because maybe there is knight takes d4, but maybe not. So yes, I think just rook to c1, rook c1, rook c1, and we are only at the move 16, and I like playing positions where my plans are clear and my opponent's plans are not, because yes, maybe you can play rook to e1, rook to e8, excuse me, but after e5, even, I mean, I get the e file for myself. This pawn will be an isolated queen pawn, which is weakness, of course. I mean, I like this position, if I'm completely honest. I like this position. And yes, my opponent, I don't... Maybe b5 and bishop b7 is an idea? But still, what is this bishop doing? So I'm playing against this bishop and against the e5 push. So how to prevent the e5 push furthermore? Yes, maybe queen to e2. Knight to g4 is a very nice idea, if I'm completely honest. Very nice idea. Because my opponent is threatening to take here. But I believe I have some counter chances. Maybe h3, but then takes, here, here, here. I don't like this. I am a bit concerned now, but we need to calculate, definitely. Is there bishop takes on h7? Probably not. I mean, there is definitely not. Bishop takes on h7. g3 loses a piece, of course, not an exchange even. How to defend the h2 pawn? I don't think there is a way to defend the h2 pawn that can be attacked with the move rook takes f3. I mean, maybe even queen to e2 and after takes, here, here, here. Is it so bad? You can play queen h1 because I play here attacking the queen attacking the knight and then rook h1 to follow. Why not? Why not? Or maybe even bishop to e2 is a move here. Defending this pawn, and after rook takes, bishop takes. Queen takes here, I guess. But queen h1 can't be played. Although maybe it can be played, and then here attacking this pawn g3. Maybe I will go with my king to b1 actually. I don't think I have any other idea actually than to play bishop to e2. If queen e2, I don't like this because here, this wins. So bishop to e2 looks the best. Bishop e2 and I walk my king to d1. And this bishop is still out of the game, so bishop e2 followed by h3, if not rook takes on f3. And yes, if I would just play h3, then rook takes on f3 is a real threat, because there is knight takes d4 check, picking up the g2 pawn as well. Although there is no pawn on g2, but there is a pawn on g3, so yes. Rook takes on f3 is a legit sacrifice. Definitely sound sacrifice, but I think I'm pretty okay. Yes, now my opponent can probably push. No, because the d5 pawn is hanging. This is a big threat in the position when e5 is pushed. So yes, rook takes on f3 definitely the best move in the position. And the fact that my g2 pawn is protected by my bishop is very good, because yes, there is nothing for my opponent. He will have a pawn for an exchange, but I think my king will be safe. Maybe even on b1 if I succeed to accomplish this plan. King b1, and then still these pawns are very weak. I will open the h file to attack my opponent's king. There is no rook to defend anything. So yes, h3 on the way, if not rook takes on f3. But what will you play otherwise? My position is very nice if not rook takes on f3. Maybe something like bishop d7 can be tried, and then after here, knight to f6, excuse me. I mean, maybe just bishop to f1. You cannot push the pawn. So yes, I like my position. Maybe doubling up on the e file can be tried. And yes, h3 is my next move, if not rook takes on f3. So my opponent still thinking, he probably is calculating rook takes on f3 and if it is a good option for him. But I mean, it looks nice, but you only win a pawn for an exchange. And I open up the h file. Although my king will be in the center of the board, the center is closed. Your pieces are undeveloped. What can you do? Nothing. Look at my pieces, they are very good. My pieces are very good, and I mean, these two pieces are very bad. The knight on g4 is for time being misplaced. It belongs on f6, most definitely. My knight very good on c3, kinda not attacking, but kinda pressuring the d5 pawn when e5 will be pushed. So yes, my knight can jump to e5 in some positions, most definitely. Maybe there will be a sacrifice of a knight if something like queen to e7 would be played, when the rook would be pinning the e6 pawn. And yes, I like my position, but after the rook takes f3, my opponent needs to prove the compensation, which can be very hard. And my opponent now spending 3 minutes on a single move. Of course, this is a crucial position of the game. If you sack the rook, there is no way to return to the not great position, but it is at least by the computer probably even equal this position after knight to f6 or bishop to d7, h6, h3 and knight to f6, it's probably roughly better for white, but nothing major. And if you sack rook takes f3, so bishop d7 played. My opponent does not go for rook takes on f3. Very good decision, I believe. But if you don't sacrifice the rook right away, do I even need to push h3? Or can I play anything else? And what would it be? If h3, knight f6, what is my next move? I guess bishop f1, I guess. Or bishop d3. But there is always rook takes on f3 ideas, even when the knight is on f6. Although, when the knight is on f6, there is no rook takes f3 because this is illegal, so yes, h3. Just h3. Knight f6, and then we'll figure it out. Maybe a3, a3, knight a5. Although why play a3, because knight is not doing much on b4. And yes, after knight to f6, maybe just bishop d3. Maybe just bishop d3, bishop b1, queen c2, pressuring everything. I mean, my bishop is better on d3 than on e2. And yes, I think that's the major reason. Although my queen on d2 is pressuring down the d file so that e5 can be played, because after takes the pawn would be hanging even in two different ways, with the knight and with the queen. It can be captured after e5, so maybe my bishop is okay on e2, but it is staring. I mean, the rook can't stare at e6 right away, so bishop to f1 looks very good. Maybe bishop bishop on b1. Is it actually doing anything? I guess so. Queen d3 and knight to g5, and then simply h6. This is a hard decision to make. How to stop e5 even more. Bishop f1, followed by here and here. Maybe g3 and bishop g2. Why not? Why not? Bishop f1 played. I like this move. Like, my bishop can go to d3 at any point. But bishop on d3 is simply, it shouldn't be there, because my queen needs the d file for itself. And I mean, I like my position definitely, and g3, bishop g2, king h2 is always an idea. I mean, when the time will get low, g3, bishop g2 and king to h2 can even be pre-moved at some point, but of course I gain 10 seconds every move, so. But yes, g3, bishop g2 is a legit idea. And this knight can't really go anywhere, and e5 can be played. So, I mean, I always have this idea as well. Okay, is now e5 a threat? No, it's not. No, it's not. I even can play here, just so that everything is protected. Followed by f4 maybe. Why not? Why not? Maybe taking... No, not taking the bishop, but f4. Knight e5, rook e5. There is no knight g4 attacking the rook. There is no knight e5, knight e4, because I takes. e5 I take. If rook takes, queen takes, the bishop is hanging on d7, so I like this. Queen b6 maybe, attacking the pawn. I mean, definitely, but... So what should we do now? What should we do now? Rook e3, push a threat. Rook e3. Here, 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 here. If here I take maybe with the rook. Why not? And yes, I win a pawn. Rook e3 probably better. Rook e3, there is no knight g4 challenging the rook. And my bishop stays open on this diagonal. So that if knight ever lands... Oh wait, what? What is happening? Okay, we are back. Something weird just happened, I'm sorry. But now, after knight a5, I was talking that after knight c4 I can simply take with the bishop, maybe rook e1, pressuring the pawn. Putting the knight on e4, on e5, excuse me, is very good. Maybe this knight can go to e2, maybe to g3. I have a lot of play in the position. It is very not passive, but it's kinda closed position. I have this diagonal for my bishop, so maybe bishop d3, bishop b1, getting my bishop off the way of every other piece. Maybe then queen d3, and then I have my own ideas of sacking the rook on f6. So yes, I like my position, rook e1, rook c e1 to follow. Knight a5, probably an idea, but I have always an idea of playing knight a4, a3, b4 and knight to c5 as well, pressuring the f6 pawn and pressuring everything. This knight would be great here. So yes, maybe knight a4 and going here is okay as well. I'm not sure where my opponent has his counterplay, because I will pressure around the e file. I will play g3, bishop g2, putting this bishop on this diagonal, but there is nothing in this diagonal, so maybe not. Putting my knight on e5, playing f4, and yes, this pawn is a very big weakness. I can even sack the knight when I double on the e file. This knight disappears. Maybe something will be there so that the e pawn would be pinned. And my opponent down to 6 minutes, which can be dangerous. And yes, during the 15 plus 10 games, I'm always having a big time advantage. And knight to h5 is played. I don't understand this move. Knight h5, I guess he's trying to go here, but... What? There is no rook on a... Rook takes on f3. Even g3. Even g3 when the knight is on f4 can be played. Putting it back. Oh, this is his idea. To go here and then push e5. Yes, but I can play g3 now. g3? I guess my knight is weak, but after bishop g2 it's not. Or maybe he's trying to sack the knight. Queen? No, this doesn't work. Although maybe it does. Because he gets the 2 pieces for the piece, so I don't know if I should stop this plan of playing a knight f4 followed by knight g6. And how to do so definitely is a problem. But I have here rook takes. Now I'm trying to take because the rook would attack the queen. And in that position after takes, not queen takes. Come on my mouse. Here, there is probably knight f4 can be played because I take. Yes, I take. So, if not knight f4, something else, and then g3. I like this. Knight e5, rook e5. Knight f4, knight takes on d5. If knight takes on d5, I take the queen and yes. Knight to e5. I spent way too much time on this move. Knight e5, it's a simple move. Maybe I will push f4. I mean, knight to f4 can be played right away, but after g3 here I would simply trade the knights, and then the king is open, the two g-pawns are very weak, bishop g2 on the way. Why not? Why not? And still e5 can be pushed at that point, because the d5 pawn is always hanging. I like this position very much. Knight f4, g6. I mean, why not? The h3 pawn is always protected because my bishop. My opponent spending a lot of time, down to 5 minutes, which can be crucial at the later stage of the game. Definitely. Knight takes on e5, I believe, is a very bad move. But what can you do? Maybe I'm even threatening to take the bishop, but because the bishop is the crucial defender of the e6, the e6 pawn. And yes, rook e1 will be played next, probably, if something like... I mean, you can't really go back with the knight, because... So, queen to d6. What is an idea of this move? There is no idea. Maybe even trading, because the queen moved 2 times now, but... g3. Right? If takes, takes. I guess b5 is an idea. After b5 I can take. g3 now. Stopping any knight f4 ideas. g3, bishop g2. Maybe king h2. I mean, I like my position very much. And this knight on f6 is very bad. It cannot go to g4. It cannot go to e4. It can't even go to d7 without bishop retreating to c8, which is very awkward. And yes, f4. f4, why not? Why not? My bishop is not as useful on this diagonal as maybe on d3, but I like my position. My opponent down to 4 minutes on the clock, and I'm playing pretty fast, so watch out. Yesterday my opponent even flagged, not in an equal position. I was pushing for a win, but still, flagging is a very big problem. Rook f5, there is g4. Rook f5, there is a g4. Yes. But then there is rook g5. Knight takes on e5. Interesting. What if I take with the pawn? I don't want to take with the pawn, but just checking everything. The queen should go to d7. There is no tactic there, so rook takes. Yes, rook f5, rook e1. Why not? I like this trade, most definitely. This knight was like my opponent's only good piece, if I'm completely honest. And my knight can still reroute to e5. It takes a lot of time, but rook e1. Why not? Bishop g2 can be played very quickly. a3 here. I guess the a4 is now defended by the bishop, but okay. Still. And yes, I like this position very much. b5. I guess b4 can be pushed. a3. b4. a3, a5. Now I need to concentrate because this is crucial part of the game. Is b4 a threat? Not really. Why? Because a6 will be weak. a3 takes, takes, takes. The pawn is hanging here. So yes, why not a3? Followed by b4. b4. Maybe queen d3. Maybe knight e2. Maybe knight d1. going for, oh, very nice maneuver. Here I have knight d1, knight b2, knight d3 and knight to c5. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to achieve that, but my knight is a monster on c5. Here, maybe queen b2 protecting everything, and then... I mean, the position is closed, so the number of moves, if I give black 3 moves now in a row, actually nothing will happen. I mean, before wins within 3 moves wins everything, but I mean, like this and king f7, nothing changes. So the closed positions don't require as much calculation because nothing will happen quickly, and therefore you can spend more moves like moving your pieces around, just shuffling, trying to get your pieces to the best squares possible. And yes, my opponent down to 2 minutes. And I think my position is much easier to play. I have b4, knight d2, knight b2, knight d3 and knight to c5 as my goal, my ultimate goal. And bishop g2 and king to h2 can be played very, very quickly. Very quickly. You cannot move this knight. I guess bishop c6 is a very good move, followed by here. But even then, you're not threatening to push. Maybe you do. Just before a5. I don't think this is good. I don't think. Because before a5, queen b2. Just before. Why not? Controlling everything, closing down the queen side where my opponent thinks he has counterplay. But in fact there is no counterplay at all. Oh, I have another idea. h4 followed by bishop to h3, putting pressure on the pawn. Although this is not good, yes, a5 played. A rook b1 even, but queen b2 I guess. Better option. Queen b2. If a4, I'm winning, definitely. If takes, maybe taking with the queen. Oh, taking with the queen. If takes, rook c8. I want to take with the pawn. Why? Because I can. Why would I trade queens when I have the attacking potential on this diagonal and my opponent has zero attacking potential, no attacking potential. Yeah, so a takes on b4, opponent down to 1 minute and a half, rook c8 played. Bishop g2. The pawn is very weak on b5 as well. Queen b3 looks very nice with the idea of here. Here. Here, 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 here. Queen b3. And yes, the position is still open. I mean, it's still closed. So I have a lot of moves. A lot of moves that seems very bad, but I mean, I have a lot of time to do my plan. Only 4 moves. And my opponent can play bishop c6 here, here and here as well. But who will guard the e6 pawn? So you cannot move your bishop because the e6 pawn will collapse. So yes, I have the time. My opponent needs to defend. I guess king f7, bishop c6, but even then I can even take the pawn, giving 2 rooks away. Okay, now this pawn is weak, e4. D4, excuse me. Oh, this is an idea as well. So maybe rook knight e2. I must say I missed this move. If I play knight to e2, if I play here, then there is rook to c4. No, there is not. So maybe just rook d1. Rook d1 playing slowly this position, followed by this maneuver. Why not rook d1? I don't want to put my bishop on g2 because then rook c4 can be played. Rook d1, and even if I have to play the other rook to... Yes, but... Should I play knight b1? Because if knight e2, rook c8, I can play knight c1. Knight b1, knight d2. No, knight d2 blunders a pawn. Knight b1 here, here, here. What if we start with queen b2? Now I'm getting kinda stressed. Knight b1, rook c8, knight d2, rook c3, queen b2, rook c2, queen b1. No, queen a1 because the pawn is hanging. Knight b1, why not? Why not? Rook c8, definitely a move. But then knight d2. No, knight d2 blunders a pawn, I need to be careful. Queen b2, defending the pawn. I guess rook c4 is a good sacrifice. Queen a1. Oh Jesus, there is knight to e4 even. Knight e4. Bishop d3 wins the game. And if knight f2, I take. Queen a1, I spent way too much time. Knight e4, bishop d3. If rook here, I take. I take. If here, I go here. And if takes, I have an extra exchange, which should be enough to win the game. And then knight d2. And the knight is hanging here. It can go to h3 and the game is lost. So, what is my opponent's plan? Knight d2, knight b3, and here. It takes 3 more moves and the game will be lost. Maybe bishop e8 is a reasonable choice. Rook c1? Rook c1, really? I take and play queen b1. Queen b2, excuse me. Oh, then there is queen to c6. Are you fucking kidding me? And then there is bishop b5. Oh my goodness, this is so intense right now. Yes. Rook e2. Rook e2. Rook e3. How to play this? Knight e2 loses. So yes, here. Rook e2. But then there is e5. e5, takes, takes, here. If rook takes, then there I have king h2. Rook e2. Oh wow, I allowed queen c4. And then there... Oh, what? But this... Oh, this prevents the idea of knight to d2. This doesn't work, I go here. King g2. Yes, king g2. And now I will talk less frequently because I am low on time. And I need to concentrate fully on the game. Excuse me for it. Knight c3 loses because of rook to c2. f3 my next move. f3. Why not? Oh my Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh god, I lost. Oh god, I lost. How the hell did this just happen? I mean, what the hell? How the hell did I was... After bishop e8 I was much... No, I wasn't even better. Knight e3 only drawing move. But I thought my position like here was much better. And it was. So let's analyze the game now. e4 e6, and this is the French defense. Bishop d3, c5, c3, knight to c6. And now instead of playing knight to f3, knight to e2 is the best. Because of the reasons of queen b6. And then I have the knight to f3 right away. And if I play knight to f3 now, then there is queen b6. And I need to just castle, giving away this pawn. Knight takes, queen takes. And yes, this is very known gambit, but I don't like it. So knight to e2 was played here, queen b6 and knight to f3. Takes. Bishop b... King f1 is a move. I remembered bishop d2 here. And now castles, bishop takes and f6. And yes, you always take the pawn when f6 is played. Knight takes on f6 and knight to c3. The idea is that e5 can't be pushed. So a6, I don't understand this move. Rook e1 now. And rook e1, of course, preventing the idea of pushing e5. And this is my whole plan. And here I was getting kinda annoyed, because if I do absolutely nothing, then there is rook takes on f3, takes, and here, and knight takes on d4 check, winning the game. So, where were we? After knight g4, I played bishop to e2, of course defending the d4 pawn with my queen, and now rook takes on f3 is simply bad, because this is simply nothing. If check, I go here attacking the rook, now queen h4, and I simply play... Okay, queen f4 is something I didn't see, but even if king to d1, even if bishop d7, even if you walk your king here, you should be completely fine. So, after bishop d7 not taking on f3, h3, knight f6, white, rook takes on f3 now. Wait, rook takes on f3 now. Why is this better? And knight to h6. And this is good for my opponent. Wow. It is all zeros, but I don't know why this is good for my opponent. I can even walk my king. So, and he doesn't even get a single pawn for an exchange. So he simply played knight to f6, and I like my position here. Bishop f1, still +1 advantage. Rook e3 trying to double up. Queen d6, I don't understand. And now g3, because if I play like a3, which is a bad move, now see even here and here can be tried. So g3 preventing the idea of knight to f4, and after takes, rook takes. Wait, we take with the pawn was better. Queen b6, knight b5. Okay, so what if queen here? Knight e2 and knight d4, blocking the pawns. Okay, I like this, but I simply took with the rook, continuing pressure down the e-file, and here b5, getting some counterplay, and here it is +1. a5, queen b2 still okay. A takes, taking with the a pawn better. Rook c8 and queen b3, too slow. I should have played something like bishop d3, more energetic, but here I simply had a very nice idea in mind, and this is a mistake. Knight b1. So bishop d3 was very good option, pressuring the h7 pawn, but I got this idea here, and this is -1 for me. Rook e2, the only move. King g2 and f3 simply loses on the spot. So yes, I should have see that the g3 pawn is simply hanging. A big blunder by me, but still. Knight a3 with an idea to push to pressure the pawn, maybe even sack the rook. I only saw that after f3, and here I have this idea. If he does nothing, I'm much no, what? Okay, yes, the rook is attacked, but if I play knight to c5, my position should be much better, right? Of course, there are some tactics going on, but I like my position. But after f3, queen takes on g3, this is simply checkmate, and I blunder the game. So yes, now I'm back to 2038, but still pretty decent game up to the point when my opponent got low on time and I started to play much faster than I should have, and then I simply blundered with the move pawn to f3. So guys, this was day 18 of me playing chess every day until I reached the rapid rating of 2500, and if you liked the video, please consider subscribing, it would really help me out, and see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye!